When a family fortune depends on a lie, how far will a mother go to secure her son's future? When police broke open the ornate mahogany desk in the Harrington estate, they expected financial ledgers, maybe a hidden safe. They did not expect a forged will, a lock of a child's hair taped inside a folded envelope, and a handwritten confession that would send 27-year-old Lena Marlowe to prison. Only one sentence in shaky blue ink explained everything. I had to do it for my son. Please, if you find this story interesting, please do well to share, comment, and subscribe. Lena Marlowe never imagined herself in handcuffs. She was a quiet young mother working 2 jobs, raising her 4-year-old boy, Caleb, in a cramped apartment on the edge of Willow Creek. Her marriage to Daniel Harrington, son of one of the wealthiest families in the county, had dissolved just months after their wedding. Everyone chalked it up to incompatibility. No one knew the truth. Caleb wasn't Daniel's child. And Daniel never found out. Lena had kept the secret from guilt, from shame, and from fear of losing the only stable home she'd ever known. But when Daniel's father, the formidable businessman Charles Harrington, died unexpectedly, everything changed. Charles left behind a legacy worth millions, but his will offered nothing to Lena or Caleb. Daniel, consumed by grief and resentment, cut all ties with his ex-wife and the boy he believed was his. Caleb faced a future of poverty, unless Lena acted. Desperation has a way of making even gentle souls dangerous. Lena broke into the Harrington estate 3 times over 6 months. The first time, she stole stationery from Charles's study. The second, she copied his distinctive signature using trembling strokes by the light of a single desk lamp. The third time, she slid a freshly forged will into the back of his desk drawer, one that quietly granted Caleb a generous trust fund, in recognition of my beloved grandson. But the Harrington estate was a battlefield of attorneys, and forged ink leaves traces. A probate investigator discovered inconsistencies. A forensic document examiner confirmed the signature was fabricated. Lena was arrested while picking Caleb up from daycare, her hands still smudged with chalk from helping him draw on the sidewalk. The prosecution painted her as manipulative, calculating, a woman who exploited a grieving family for money. But in the courtroom, Lena's motives cracked through the polished language of legal arguments. She didn't want luxury or status. She wanted her son, a boy who shared her brown eyes and quiet curiosity, to have a chance at a life she never could. The defense argued it was a crime born not from greed, but from fear. It didn't matter. Forgery was forgery. Lena Marlowe was sentenced to 3 years in county prison. In a twist that fascinated the public, Daniel Harrington requested custody of Caleb during Lena's incarceration. The boy, through no fault of his own, became the center of a media storm. And yet, Lena's handwritten confession found in the desk remained sealed except for one crucial line. I had to do it for my son. Some called her a criminal. Others whispered she was a mother pushed past her breaking point. Either way, the Harrington estate would never forget the woman who tried to rewrite its legacy with a forged pen, a desperate heart, and a secret that changed everything. Detective Avery held up the envelope with gloved fingers. "Why would she leave this here?" he murmured. Inside was the forged will and Lena's confession, ending with the words that would haunt the courtroom. I had to do it for my son. What no one knew yet was how far the young mother had fallen to protect a secret that should never have existed. Lena's phone buzzed. Daniel again. "Where are you?" he snapped when she answered. "My father's memorial starts in 20 minutes. "I'm getting Caleb ready," she said, tugging a tiny blue sweater over the boy's head. "He wants to come." "Your son," Daniel corrected coldly. "Not mine." Lena swallowed hard. He didn't know. Not really. He only suspected. "Daniel," she whispered, "please. He loved your father." A long, cold silence. "Just be here," he said, and hung up. After the call, Lena sat on the floor and held Caleb in her lap. She kissed the top of his head, breathing in the scent of baby shampoo. "If only things had been different," she whispered. But secrets had a way of poisoning everything. The Harrington mansion loomed like a stone giant as Lena stepped inside. Portraits of stern-faced ancestors stared down at her with disapproval. Daniel's sister, Marissa, approached with a fragile smile. "You look tired," Marissa said, eyes drifting to Caleb. Lena forced a polite expression. "It's been hard." "Of course," Marissa murmured, though her gaze remained fixed on the child, a long, assessing gaze. "He doesn't look much like Daniel, does he?" Lena stiffened. Her heartbeat spiked. "He has his grandfather's eyes," she lied. Marissa's smile sharpened, thin as a blade. "Does he?" Envy lived behind her expression. Envy that Lena had a child. Envy that Caleb might one day inherit something she believed belonged to her. Lena walked away, clutching Caleb's hand. The mansion felt like it was swallowing her. A week after the funeral, Lena stood outside the darkened mansion. Rain dripped from her hair. Her hand shook as she unlocked the side door. She'd kept a spare key from when she lived there. "If I do this," she whispered, "it's only for him." Inside Charles's study, she opened drawers, searching for paper with a family watermark. She found it under a stack of correspondence. Her breath caught. A simple sheet of expensive stationery. It felt heavy, symbolic, dangerous. She stuffed it into her coat. Then came a voice. "Lena." She froze. Daniel stood in the doorway, drunk, tie loosened, eyes glassy. "What are you doing here?" he slurred. Caleb left a toy. I came to get it." Daniel glanced around the room, dead-eyed. "Doesn't matter," he muttered. "Nothing matters anymore." As he left, Lena sagged in relief, but the guilt felt like a stone in her stomach. Marissa cornered Lena outside the estate the next afternoon. "You think you deserve something from this family?" Marissa hissed. "I don't want anything." "Then why are you always here? Why drag that boy around?" Her lip curled. "He's not even a real Harrington." Lena stepped back, face burning. "You don't know anything." "Oh, but I do," Marissa whispered triumphantly. "And when will my brother find out? You'll lose everything." Lena walked away, trembling. Fear twisted into desperation. Desperation curdled into something darker, determination. If Marissa wanted to destroy Caleb's chance at a future, Lena would make sure she failed, whatever it took. It was past midnight when Lena sat at her small kitchen table, copying Charles Harrington's signature over and over. The loops of the C, the sharp angles of the H. She practiced until her fingers cramped. Her neighbor, Mrs. Ellis, knocked once and opened the door without waiting. "Still awake?" she asked gently. "You look pale." Lena forced a smile. "Just paperwork." "Paperwork doesn't keep you from shaking like that." The older woman frowned. "You sure you're all right?" Lena folded the forged signature under her hand. "I'm fine," she lied. When Mrs. Ellis left, Lena returned her focus to the signature. "Had I known," she whispered, tracing the letters, "that this path would ruin everything, I would have walked away." But she didn't walk away. She forged ahead. The mansion was silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock. Lena slipped into the study and opened the bottom drawer. Her breath trembled as she slid the forged will between the old documents. "If anyone finds out," she whispered, "my life is over." A floorboard creaked behind her. She spun, heart pounding. But no one was there. Her mind raced. Her hands shook. She closed the drawer and fled. 2 months later, Daniel called. "There's a problem," he said, voice tight. Lena's stomach flipped. "What kind of problem?" "Our lawyer found a revised version of my father's will." He paused. One naming Caleb as a beneficiary. Silence. Then a cool, deadly whisper. "Lena, did you do something?" She swallowed hard. "No." But the lie was thin. Daniel heard it. The next day, police arrived at her apartment. Caleb clung to her leg as officers cuffed her. "Mommy," he cried. "Why are they taking you?" Lena forced a smile through tears. "It's okay, baby. I'll be back soon." But as she watched him reach for her, screaming as a social worker carried him away, regret stabbed through her like a blade. "Had I known," she thought, "that trying to protect you would tear us apart, I would never have touched that will." The prosecutor slammed the forged will onto the table. "You planned this," he said. "You manipulated documents, broke into a private estate, and attempted to steal a fortune." "I was trying to give my son a future," Lena whispered. Daniel looked away, jaw tight. Marissa stared with cold satisfaction. The judge's voice was firm. Ms. Marlowe, you committed a crime rooted in greed. No, Lena said through tears. It wasn't greed. It was fear. Fear that my son would have nothing. Fear that my mistake, my secret would destroy him. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But apologies couldn't undo ink. Lena stared at the gray prison wall, the confession she'd written replaying constantly in her mind. I had to do it for my son. But now she saw her mistake with brutal clarity. Had she known it would cost her freedom? Had she known it would fracture Caleb's future instead of securing it? Had she known Daniel would fight for custody? Had she known her lie would ignite years of legal chaos? Had she known, she would have chosen honesty. But now, all she could do was count the days until she could hold her son again, and pray that someday he would understand. The prison smelled of bleach, steel, and forgotten hope. Lena sat on her narrow bunk, clutching the only photo she was allowed, a picture of Caleb blowing dandelion seeds, eyes bright, cheeks puffed. Every night, she whispered into the dark, I'm sorry, baby. Had I known it would come to this. But the walls didn't care. Regret had no audience here. After weeks, she learned the rhythm of the place, the morning count, the clanging doors, the guards who watched without blinking, the inmates who watched with too much interest. One afternoon in the cafeteria, a woman with a sharp jaw and tattooed arms sat across from her. You're the Harrington woman, the inmate said with a smirk. The one who forged her way into a fortune. Lena swallowed, pushing her food aside. It wasn't like that. Oh, honey, the woman laughed. It's always like that. Greed makes people stupid. It wasn't greed, Lena said quietly. I did it for my son. The woman leaned in. That's what scares me. A greedy woman can be reasoned with. A desperate mother? She'll burn the world down. Lena looked away, heart pounding. Because the woman was right. Daniel Harrington stood in his father's study, staring at the empty desk drawer, the same drawer where the forged will had been found. Marissa paced behind him. She belongs in prison, she said sharply. You can't let her anywhere near Caleb again. Daniel rubbed his temples. She kept a terrible secret, he admitted. But she was a good mother. Marissa scoffed. Good mothers don't commit felonies. Daniel turned. Good sisters don't threaten children. Her face flushed. I was protecting our family. Daniel stepped closer, lowering his voice. You hated the idea of my father giving anything to Caleb, even when you thought he was my son. Marissa stiffened. For a moment, she looked afraid. Then she hissed, if you're going soft on her, don't expect me to help. Daniel's jaw tightened. I'm not going soft, he said. I'm asking questions. Dangerous questions. Weeks passed before Lena received the first letter. Caleb's handwriting was uneven, with backwards letters. Mommy, I miss you. Daddy says I can see you soon. He said you made a mistake, but you love me. I love you too. You're Caleb. Lena pressed the letter to her lips, tears falling onto the ink. For the first time since her arrest, hope flickered. Daniel was letting Caleb write to her. Maybe he didn't hate her. Maybe he understood. During visitation day, Lena waited at a metal table as the door buzzed open. Daniel walked in, not cold, not angry, but troubled, burdened. They sat across from each other, glass between them, phones in their hands. Lena, he began, I need to ask you something. She braced herself. What is it? Daniel hesitated, then leaned closer to the glass. Did someone pressure you into forging that will? She blinked. What? No. I did it alone. Are you sure? His voice was quiet, urgent. Because someone else is acting very nervous. You mean your sister? Lena whispered. Daniel's expression said enough. She hates me, Lena continued. And she hates the idea of Caleb inheriting anything. Daniel swallowed hard. What if the forged will wasn't the only will? He asked. Lena's breath caught. What do you mean? I mean, Daniel said slowly, what if there was a real revised will one someone else had a reason to hide? The room felt colder. Daniel, she whispered, you think Marissa. I think my father changed his mind, he interrupted. He liked Caleb. He spent time with him. He even asked once about starting a trust. Lena stared. A truth slowly crystallized, sharp, terrifying. If Charles Harrington had created a new will, and if Marissa found it first, then Lena wasn't the only criminal in this story. She might not even be the worst. 3 days later, Daniel called the prison. His voice was shaking. "They found something," he said. "In a storage unit my father rented. A sealed box with documents." Lena's heart thudded against her ribs. "What kind of documents?" "A draft," Daniel said, breath quickening. "A will. The real one. Dated 2 months before he died." Lena covered her mouth with her hand. "Caleb is in it, Lena. My father left something for him. A trust fund." Lena felt dizzy. "So he really meant to?" "Yes," Daniel whispered. "But the final copy? It's missing. Someone made it disappear." Lena closed her eyes in horror. "Oh God," she whispered. "Daniel, I didn't need to forge anything." She sank to her knees, sobbing. Had I known. Daniel spoke again, voice choked. "We're reopening the investigation." A pause. "And Lena, I'm going to help you." Marissa Harrington sat alone in her luxury apartment, the city lights flickering across her face. A glass of red wine trembled in her hand. Her phone buzzed. "Daniel, we need to talk. Tonight." Her fingers tightened around the glass. Marissa knew why. She'd known from the moment the storage unit was mentioned. "Damn it," she whispered, pacing the room. "I should have burned everything." Her reflection in the window glared back at her, sharp, angry, trapped. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she muttered. She wasn't supposed to fight back. But Lena had Daniel on her side now, and that changed everything. Lena's days grew long and heavy. She waited anxiously for any news from Daniel. Every time a guard approached her cell, she hoped it meant updates. One evening, the same tattooed inmate from before sat beside her in the common room. "You look like you've seen a ghost," the woman said. Lena exhaled shakily. "They found a real will. The one I thought never existed." The woman raised her brows. "Let me guess, someone else hid it?" Lena nodded. "Possibly." The woman laughed softly. "Oh girl, you're in deeper waters than you think." "What do you mean?" The woman leaned back, eyes narrowing. "I've seen women end up here because someone outside needed them gone. Conveniently. Quietly." She tapped her temple. "Sometimes the truth is uglier than the crime." Lena shivered. She hadn't thought of that. Not once. Daniel arrived at Marissa's apartment with a folder in his hand. His expression was unreadable. Marissa opened the door with a forced smile. "Daniel, why didn't you tell me about the storage unit?" he asked immediately. Marissa froze. "I didn't think it was important." Daniel pushed inside, ignoring the invitation. "It wasn't listed with his assets. You knew that." He tossed the folder onto her marble counter. "But you had the key. Only you." Marissa's jaw clenched. So tell me," Daniel said, voice low and dangerous. "Did you take the final will?" Her eyes flashed. "Why would I do that?" Daniel stepped closer. "Because father left something to Caleb. Something substantial. Something you didn't want a child born out of wedlock to have." Marissa looked away, fingers trembling around her wine glass. "You're imagining things," she whispered. "Am I?" Silence swallowed the room. Then Marissa's voice cracked. "It wasn't fair," she hissed. "I spent my whole life preparing to inherit that estate. And then you married some nobody. And suddenly her kid, who isn't even yours, was supposed to be part of our legacy." Daniel stared at her, stunned. "So you hid the will?" Marissa closed her eyes. "I did what was necessary." Daniel's voice grew colder. "You didn't just sabotage her. You let her go to prison for something she didn't need to do." Marissa's breath hitched. "I didn't tell her to forge anything," she whispered defensively. "But you pushed her," Daniel said. "You humiliated her, threatened her. You made her fear that Caleb would have nothing." Marissa snapped. She shouldn't have lied about the boy's father. Daniel froze. A new truth hit him. "You knew," he whispered. "You always knew Caleb wasn't mine." Marissa looked horrified at her slip. Daniel, listen, But Daniel walked out without another word. The next morning, Lena was called to the warden's office. She walked in with trembling hands. Daniel sat there. Her breath caught. "What's going on?" she whispered. Daniel stood, eyes softening for the first time in months. "I spoke to my sister," he said. "She admitted things." Lena's heart pounded. "There's going to be a motion filed," he continued. "A hearing. You may be granted a new trial. Maybe even released early." Lena staggered into a chair. "Oh my God." Daniel swallowed, voice rough. "I'm sorry, Lena. I should have protected you. Caleb misses you every day." Tears spilled down her face. "I didn't need to forge anything," she said bitterly. "Your father, he really cared about Caleb. I ruined everything." Daniel shook his head. "Marissa ruined it. She hid the truth. She hid the will. Your mistake came from desperation. Hers came from greed." Lena covered her face. "Had I known," she sobbed, "I never would have done it." Daniel leaned closer. "We're going to fix this. I promise." Later that night, as Lena lay in her bunk, a correctional officer strode down the corridor. He halted at her cell. "You've got a visitor tomorrow," he said. Lena sat up. "Daniel?" she asked hopefully. The guard checked his clipboard. "No. A woman." Lena frowned. "Who?" The guard shrugged. "Didn't say. Paid in cash. Signed the log as M. Harper." Lena felt a chill crawl up her spine. Only one person used that initial. Marissa. But why would she come here? To confess? To threaten her? Or something worse? As the lights went out, Lena stared into the dark, tension coiling inside her. Something was coming. Something she wasn't prepared for. Marissa never made the visit. She was arrested that morning. The real was found hidden in her safe. With her confession, Lena's conviction was overturned, and she walked free into Daniel and Caleb's waiting arms. Holding her son, Lena trembled with relief and regret. Had I known the truth, I would have trusted fate, not fear. The Harrington estate restored Caleb's rightful inheritance, and while scars remained, Lena vowed never again to trade honesty for desperation. The past couldn't be undone, but the future, finally, belonged to them. Please try to click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and listening.